And these are examples of doing a looser shot with a lot going on, and then a tight shot that's really nothing other than, you know, a reflection on the gold wall behind it. So, you know, that's a lot in terms of like figuring out what you want to put in a shot, what do you want to take out of it. And it also, like, for magazine layout, it makes it that much easier if you have variety. This is the actor from Jason Biggs from American Pie. And we picked kind of a dive bar for him because I thought it would be a little bit of fun. And, you know, the butt in the center is our art director, Kevin Robbie, again, you know, working in the frame. And the two models that we put at the edge cost us exactly $1 beer a piece. So, you know, these were guys at the bar who were like, hey, cool, I've never had my butt in a magazine before. Tell me what you need. We're kind of having fun with it. So, and this is David Boreanaz from Bones. And David's one of those guys that's like, if I showed up with like a human skeleton and set it up on the bar stool next to him kind of thing, like so over the top, I can pretty much guarantee David would walk in the bar, turn around, and walk straight out. So, but he'll be playful if something is a little bit understated. So I just, you know, found this book that said Bones on it and thought, you know, that's what he should be reading in the bar. You know, it's a bar and restaurant. It's actually owned by Robert Redford's, no, not Redford, Harrison Ford's son in Culver City. So it's like kind of having fun and including, letting the people have the fun with the shot instead of, you know, doing something as a joke on that. This is Randy Quaid, who we photographed, who was absolutely wonderful, and we photographed him at Musso and Frank in Hollywood, and we got to Musso and Frank, and all they had were these sort of little dainty, tiny beer glasses that, like, Randy is huge. He's like 6'6", he towers over me. He's a really big guy, so it's like, well, that's kind of silly for him to drink out of that. But we found these actually cocktail shakers that look like pint glasses, except they really weren't pint glasses. They were 24-ounce cocktail shakers. So he's actually pounding down 24-ounce Guinness for our, you know, shoot. And this is our cover. And by the time we got our cover, he was having such a good time that he started doing beer tricks. That's another little inside tip, is get your subjects really, really drunk. So it can really pay off. You know, and sometimes as I'm shooting people, it's like I literally, we were doing a shoot of Nicaraguan singer, and as the groomer is like, you know, putting powder on him and stuff, he's drumming his hands on the table, and I was set up on, you know, the other side of the lobby, and I watched him do that, and I just grabbed a ring flash and a camera, and he goes, you know, they finished with him, and he goes, okay, where do you want me to go? It's like, don't move. This is the shot. So it's like, sometimes it's just keeping that person, if something better than you planned presents itself, take advantage of it. So,
if you're not using a ring flash, are you on a tripod, typically, or?
You know, I've never really been a tripod person. I probably should do more of it, but even, you know, I even used to shoot, like, one of my favorite film cameras was the Fuji 680, which is this big, silly medium format camera that's got tilts and shifts, and it's like the biggest medium format camera you've ever seen. And I would always handhold it by, like, putting my fingers underneath the rail in front and then throwing focus with that. And I once told the Fuji people that. They're like, no, that's not the camera you shoot with. No, it's like, no, really, I know the camera. No, that one you can only shoot with it on a tripod. But I like being kind of free and loose on shots. It's like, typically I find, like, if I start off on a tripod, I never move to the better angle. So, you know, it's probably smart to shoot on a tripod if you need to pull images from other frames, because I've had to, like, sort of do parallax again. Like, for instance, this shot right here was actually shot, I was told to do a vertical, I was told to shoot a vertical opener for the story. I sent the images in at the end of the shoot. I sent out the web gallery, and I got a phone call back the next afternoon. And I went, oh my God, we told you vertical, didn't we? And like, well, just tell me, I've got an email. And like, crap, they changed it, you need it horizontal. So this was actually, thank God this was ring flash, because I went back to the same location. This was a studio. I went back to the same location and shot a horizontal plate where it was like, I think that's about where I was. And, you know, it probably worked just as well that I wasn't on a tripod, because I remember where I leaned in the photograph with the ring flash. And that was the other great thing. It's like when you're shooting with the ring flash and it's on your lens, it's pretty easy to get the light in exactly the same spot. So, you know, that's an example probably where I was saved by not being on a tripod.
Do you have ring flash recommendations?
Well, I shoot with pro photos, so you know, I think there's actually, I could be wrong, but I always think Manfrotto makes all of the ring flashes, and then Profoto and Broncolor and Speedotron all like put their plugs on it and put their names on it. And of course, Profoto's nice enough when they put their name on it, the price doubles. So you know, it's really, really, you know, it's really, really good that way. But I mean, they're whatever you work with, those ring flashes are as good as anything. I think one of the things is like, it's really hard to use those little ring flashes that fit on the front of the lens, because a lot of those things are actually more of a macro light than a true ring flash. So typically it's like one of those big cumbersome things. You know, but I shoot with that a lot. This is Elliot Castroneves, and at the end of the shoot, we were doing a story on him and shooting him for a piece. He had won Dancing with the Stars, but he's also a two-time Indy 500 winner. And like at the end, he goes, "Do you want to do anything with my race suit? I've got that." Because we showed up with wardrobe for him, and like, yeah, but I don't want to shoot you with a car. So it's like, this is his kitchen, you know, like sort of like he's getting ready to go into the office for the day. So I think sometimes you can throw things out there, and it's interesting. You know, as I said earlier, a lot of what I do is problem solving. So, you know, here's an example of, you know, where we're out. I've got to shoot for Sports Illustrated a story on the scariest athletes. You know, they like to do these theme stories. So this is Darnell Dockett, and I'm shooting him at 3 o'clock in the afternoon in Tallahassee, Florida. And if anybody has been to Tallahassee, Florida at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you know it does not look like the middle of the night. So it's kind of a case where here we're using, you know, 3 lights to really like give it some atmosphere, blow out the background, and they had a local stringer for Sports Illustrated, kind of the guy who covered games for them. I put him to work finding a fog machine for me. So we got a fog machine and a generator in this case, because that's the one thing that, you know, doesn't run off the battery. And, you know, we're fogging up this thing up, making it look like it's in the middle of the night. And just, you know, you can either put a blue gel on the lens or just change the color balance on your sensor to, you know, 32, 3300 Kelvin, whatever it takes to give it that kind of bluish cast, and suddenly, you know, you're a thriller video. This was my wife's solution when Entertainment Weekly called us 3 weeks before a shoot of Cindy Margolis and wanted to make sure that we had a beautiful, colorful blue sky in the background. And, you know, the weatherman can't tell you if you can have a blue sky in 2 hours. That's like, you want me to guarantee a blue sky? And 2 weeks, and I'm like, no, it needs to be really colorful. So my wife came up with the idea of beach balls. So this is the most lights of any photograph I'm showing here, because every single one of these big beach balls has a strobe taped to the back of it. And actually, that strobe taped to the back of them is what's holding them up. So kind of getting double use out of the things. They're not just a light source, they're also like the set. Did a shoot for the Fine Living Channel, and they wanted me to go to Seattle, Washington, and do one of my really beautiful, bright, colorful photographs. And Seattle, Washington, it was raining and crap, and like, well, what do you do to get blue skies out of this? And it's like, man, I don't know, but I came up with a solution. There was like this mural for the Washington State Huskies, just this big W in purple astroturf, which I've never seen before in my life, but you know, that's your colorful picture. You know, and dare to be different, you know, like if everybody is doing the same thing, you know, be willing to try a different look. And one of the things that we did a lot when we were doing film was we would shoot on black and white Polaroid and kind of give it a sepia treatment. And here's Antonio Banderas done on the set of Desperado, where suddenly, like, he's in Acuña, Mexico. This is for Premiere Magazine, and it's kind of a different take and a different way to go with it. And I've now applied that to like some of the digital that I'm doing. So the gentleman on the left is my good friend Horst, who's an artist in Miami, and a German artist who splits his time between Miami and Germany. And I always thought he had just a really great face. So, you know, at the same time I was testing these things out, I did this portrait of Horst and did this basically the same thing, just available light bouncing off a foam board in the front with a foam board behind him. And then I'm giving it kind of this sepia daguerreotype look like was in the last shots of Antonio. I put that on my website, and within a week I get a phone call from a magazine asking if I could do the same thing with Don Shula. So it's like, you know, people won't think of you to do things unless you show them that you can do it. You know, and from that same series, just going out and kind of giving, you know, one of the great things about a camera that shoots really beautiful pictures like Sony's Alpha 900 is messing up with these really, really beautiful images. So start with these really gorgeous raw color captures and turn them into, you know, sort of this muted sepia. So, you know, having a file that's robust enough to kind of bend the hell out of is a lot of fun for me. This is Most Def off in the Everglades. Gloria and Emilio Estefan. You know, and now, like, how do you get noticed? We were talking earlier today on promotion and stuff, and the number one way that you get noticed, your storefront as a photographer is your website. That has like so surpassed portfolio as the place that people go to see you. I mean, I was even surprised to hear today where galleries that we typically expect to be like the last bastion of wanting to see the, you know, 24 by 36 inch prints, they're judging a lot of stuff off a website. So to me, I think that's the very most important place that you can, you know, get your work out there, show your work, bring people, you know, let them see what you do. And this is my website. It's because people were asking earlier today. This is aphotofolio.com. Rob Haggard is the guy behind that. They do amazing websites. It's basically a template that you can do anything under the sun with. You know, you can do any color, any size of the images. They have like 6 or 7 basic templates, but they're infinitely customizable, which I think is really important. I think it's good to kind of give things a fresh look and have a website you can adjust constantly. One of the things that they did when the iPads came out, and other sites like Livebooks have done as well, is they have on the fly, they create an iPad customized version of your site, because as many of us know, iPads and iPhones don't do Flash, so they actually create a custom template that is sized just for an iPad. So instead of taking your main portfolio and dumbing it down to HTML5 in the size that fits on an iPad, when someone is viewing your website with an iPad, it automatically comes up that way. So you want the experience to be very easy and simple for the viewer. You don't want, you know, I don't think you want to have a lot of music like bombarding people. At least, you know, it's probably different for wedding photographers, but most of the people that I work with, like, are in an office. So, you know, just keeping it really simple, something that loads quick, something that looks good, whether they're on a 13-inch laptop or a 30-inch cinema display.